name is Stephanie Wills, and this is EDL 853 Module 10 Case Study, When a Student's Rights Are Wronged. First, let's look at the background information of this case. This case took place in the community of Dover. There is one high school, Nottingham High School, which houses 3,200 students. It's an older school, so there are many relocated trailers that they use as classrooms. The school has a very successful football team, and Friday evenings the community comes to support the team at home games. There are also 2 middle schools and 6 elementary schools in this community. Dr. Harvey, the superintendent of Dover Unified School District, works really hard and has a great working relationship with teachers, administrators, and parent volunteers. Miguel and his family moved to Dover a few years ago. Miguel moved with his mom, his dad, and his 3 brothers. His parents had read about the success of Nottingham High School football team and their academic program, and they were very interested in having their children attend the school. Miguel is on the football team. He's the quarterback. He's the first sophomore to be quarterback and is considered the most talented quarterback since 1960. He puts in a lot of extra time before and after practice, and he's a great leader that encourages his team members to do their best. He is really looking forward to the upcoming game because a win would guarantee a spot in the semifinals for the state championship. So what is happening? It's Friday night football game. The stadium is filled to capacity. Miguel's family is in the front row. It's the 4th quarter and Miguel's football team is behind. He throws a pass for a touchdown, which is caught, and then gets tackled by the other team. Miguel is injured on the field. Miguel is then transported to the hospital. It is determined that he has a spinal injury that has left him paralyzed from the waist down. His recovery may be a long recovery. His family and friends have helped him for several months. He has participated in rehabilitation and has kept up with his schoolwork. The doctor and parents notified the school when he was ready to return. His mother made an appointment with the school counselor, Miss Guzman. The parents requested that Miguel be allowed to return to school with permission from Miguel's physician. They explained to Miss Guzman that Miguel would be in a wheelchair but needed no other accommodations. On his return to school, the very first day he was back, there was an assembly that morning to honor Miguel. I presented him a trophy as I am the principal of the high school. He then reported to his first period class where he was told Miss Guzman, the counselor, needed to meet with him. He went to meet with Miss Guzman, and she informed him that his schedule had been changed. His biology classroom did not have wheelchair access, so he was no longer enrolled in biology and switched to another science class that would satisfy his science requirement. This new science class did not qualify as a college prep class. The following day, Miss Hernandez, Miguel's mother, scheduled an appointment with me, the high school principal. Miss Hernandez wanted to know why Miguel has been denied access to his biology class and why she wasn't informed of the change. Miguel needs biology for a university he is interested in attending. Mr. Hernandez arrived later in the meeting with the family attorney, Mr. Carey. Mr. Carey asked me if I am familiar with Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. He explained that his client has a right to a free and appropriate public education. It is now my turn to make a decision and figure out where we need to go next with this case. The first thing I need to look at is legal or ethical issues. The legal issues. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 forbids organizations and employees from excluding or denying individuals with disabilities an equal opportunity to receive services. A legal issue may be present if Miguel had a 504 plan in place and he is not receiving services and access he needs to finish his classes. Schools may be liable when there is a showing of bad faith or gross misjudgment on the part of the school officials. If there is no 405 plan in place, why was one not put into place before Miguel's return? If Miguel's family did have a 504 in place, Miguel's family was not informed of a change in placement. In a 504 plan, the family has to be notified of change of placement. It does not have to be in writing, but they must be notified. The school district should also be working on making all parts of the building accessible to all students. Then also looking at free appropriate public education as part of the Section 504, a school must provide students with an education including specialized instruction and related services that prepare the child for further education, employment, and independent living. So did the school keep Miguel from receiving a free appropriate public education? That could be a legal issue that we could be looking at. The ethical issues in this case is Miguel's family was not included in the decisions to change his classes. The school did not put a plan into place for Miguel's return, and the school should be working hard to advocate for equitable access to educational resources, technologies, and opportunities that support the education, success, and well-being of each student, because it's the right thing to do to make sure each student has the opportunity for education. Section 3, synthesize the information. Miguel was injured during a football game which left him paralyzed from the waist down and in a wheelchair, and upon his return to school there was no plan to allow Miguel access to his classes, which is a violation of his rights for a free appropriate public education under Section 504. Section 4, the facts, people, places, and programs involves what we know and what we still need to know. People involved in this case were Miguel and his family, the school counselor, Miss Guzman, the superintendent, Dr. Harvey, the principal, me, Carrie Howard, the family attorney, and the biology teacher. What we still don't know, did Miss Guzman discuss the placement with me or the superintendent before she made the changes? Who recommended the lawyer to Miguel's family? And was the biology teacher informed of the decision, and did the teachers have any ideas? Were they asked how we could problem solve making sure Miguel was able to finish his biology class? Places involved in this case, Community of Dover, the Nottingham High School, which has several relocatable trailers for classrooms, 2 middle schools and 6 elementary schools. A fourth of the high school building is still not accessible to all students, and there is still a lack of funding for reconstruction. So what do we still not know? How long has the school been trying to make all these areas accessible to students? Is there a timeline on getting the building up to code? And has the school looked into other funding sources for the renovations? The programs involved in the case, Nottingham High School, which houses 3,200 students, 2 middle schools and 6 elementary schools, regular education classrooms and special education, biology classrooms, and Section 504 plan. What we still don't know, was a 405 plan created for Miguel before his return? Can Miguel take his biology class during another semester? Has the school had other students that were not able to access all the classrooms in the building? And does the school have other students on 504 plans? What accommodations or modifications are being made in those plans? Section 5, review and prioritize the information. Review. Miguel was hurt during a football game which left him paralyzed from his waist down, and he is in a wheelchair. When Miguel returned to school, he was placed in a different science class because the biology classroom was not accessible to a wheelchair. He needs his biology class to enroll in a college he is interested in attending. What were some of the assumptions that were made during this whole scenario? Miguel and Miguel's family assumed that the school would make accommodations so that Miguel could finish the classes he was enrolled in for the semester. My assumptions as the principal were a plan for Miguel to return to school was in place. If there were concerns or problem with Miguel's return to school, I would be informed, and returning Miguel to his classes really shouldn't have been a problem. Miss Guzman's assumptions may have been that any science class would work for Miguel. Miguel would return to school and have no complaints with the changes that were made to his schedule. How can this affect the school? How can this situation affect what is happening at the school? There could be a lawsuit filed against the school. The reputation of the school could definitely be affected. The community may lose respect for the school and the administrators. There could be conflict among staff as they were not part of the decision. What do I still need to know? I'm still unsure if all the stakeholders have been consulted, the superintendent and the Board of Education. How will this affect other students with disabilities if we continue with these policies as they are? And how will a lawsuit affect our budget and reputation? Section 6, identify my options. Option number 1 would be take no action. Allow decision about the changing classes to stand as it is. Option 2, allow Miguel to attend the class virtually from another classroom in the school. Option 3, move the biology classroom so that Miguel can participate in the class. Option 4, begin construction on biology classroom. Have Miguel take another class until the biology room is accessible for him to attend in person. Section 7, evaluate my options. Option number 1 was take no action. The pros of this option would be there's nothing needs to be done, I have supported Ms. Guzman's decision, and Miguel is still on track to graduate. The cons is there could be a lawsuit against the school, severed relationships with Miguel and his family, community may lose trust in the school, and we could lose funding. Option number 2, allow Miguel to attend class virtually from another classroom in the school. The pros is this meets Miguel's classroom requirement for his college. Miguel may prefer to do an online option. The cons is this is not inclusive. May need additional staff, may still have a chance of a lawsuit against the school district, and other students may want the same opportunity. Option number 3, move the biology classroom so that Miguel can participate in the class. The pros of this option, Miguel continues to take the biology class he started, following regulations of FAPE and 504 plan, so we avoid a lawsuit. The community continues to support the school district. The relationship with Miguel and his family continues, and we continue to work on the plan to make the whole building accessible to access educational resources, technologies, and opportunities that support the educational success of all students. The cons, teachers will need to move the biology class, and this is not supporting Ms. Guzman's decision. Option number 4, begin construction on biology classroom, have Miguel take another science class until biology room is accessible for him to attend. The pros is we will get the school up to code and could avoid the situation in the future. The cons, its timeline may be long, Miguel does not get the class he wants, and his family may file a lawsuit against the school. Whoops, sorry about that. Let me go back. Choose the best option. The best option for the school would be option number 3, move the biology classroom so Miguel can participate in the class. This is the best decision because it cultivates and advocates for equitable access to educational resources, technologies, and opportunities that support the educational success and well-being of each student. This way, Miguel is still with his classmates and having the same opportunities as everyone else in that class. Section 9, implement my decision. What is my plan? First, I'm going to finish my meeting with Miguel's family and assure them that I will be making changes that are inclusive and give Miguel access to the supports and services he needs. Second, I'm going to get a 504 plan developed if one is not already complete and ensure that current and future success of the student is made, and also talk to the parent if there is already a 504 plan and let them know if there's anything else we need to add or change. Meet with the superintendent, counselor, teachers, and other stakeholders to let them know the plan to move the biology room. Next, I would meet with all the staff to explain the changes and the reason for the changes. Then I would establish professional development opportunities for all staff about laws and regulations that cultivate and advocate for equitable access to educational resources. This is extremely important. It's extremely important for me to educate my staff so they understand all the laws for special education and what every student should have access to. And last, I will continue to work on making the entire school building accessible to all students by looking into different funding opportunities and continuing to meet with all stakeholders. I'm continuing to work on the success for the school. I will continue to communicate with families, communities, and stakeholders to cultivate and advocate for equitable access to educational resources, technologies, and opportunities that support the educational success and well-being of each student. If this chosen plan does not work, I will continue to communicate and brainstorm with all stakeholders to make sure we continue to work on providing equitable access to educational resources to support each child. We need to continue to do our best for each student that we have at our school and provide free, appropriate public education for all of our students and make sure that they all have the same opportunities. Here are my references. Section 10, here are my standard correlations and integrations. Here's standard correlation. Here is my statement about relevance to my position right now. And here's my reflection on this case study. Thank you for listening to my information.